We're going to try something different this week. I want you guys to post down in the comments below what your #1 video idea suggestion is, and whichever comment gets the most likes, we will try our very best to create that video for you guys. If we can't do it, then we'll try the second most liked comment after that. This hopefully creates a more democratic content creation process. Today we will be covering the 10 most creative fragrances from 10 different brands. I'm not saying that these are necessarily my most favorite fragrances from each brand, but these are scents that are just different, and I have to commend the perfumers for what they've created, and in my opinion all 10 of these have not been reproduced elsewhere in the industry and still stand the test of time for their creativity. I'm not saying that you necessarily have to buy any of these fragrances outright. I would actually recommend that you get samples of these fragrances that I recommend to show yourself more the experience and the artistry of the fragrance. It's less about having these as a consumer product and more about appreciating the art form. And then if any of these fragrances speak to you on a personal level, you feel like they represent who you are as an individual, they represent your soul, then maybe consider buying a full bottle of them. So I think yeah, these are definitely worth checking out, and let's get into the video. We'll start off with a fragrance that's easily accessible by many people. It was one that was created by Versace, by Gianni Versace himself before he passed away. And in my opinion, that's probably when the passion in the Versace brand was most alive. After his passing, it probably became a lot more mainstream oriented and not as creative as this, which is a classic. You probably guessed it, it is the Dreamer. This combines notes of tobacco, florals, and sweet tonka bean. It's a very balanced but also interesting artistic fragrance that is high quality for the price you are paying, and it has good performance as well, about 6 to 8 hours. Fantastic versatility. I think you can wear this pretty much all year round. You have to have the right personality for it. I think this will speak to more people than others, but the perfumery here is a masterpiece. It shows that you can bring balance and mainstream appeal through different ways that are usually approached. You don't have to be a mainstream fougere or blue shower gel fragrance. You can really, approach the industry in a different way, and that's is why this is forever celebrated and is a testimony of the creativity of perfumers. I definitely had to include Tom Ford in this video. The brand in general is genius at its creativity, more so in the earlier years, now more than nowadays. Ever since Tom Ford got bought out by a big conglomerate, it's become again more mainstream. I wish they were as creative as before, but there's still a large range, a host of different scents that they offer that are still very creative. I still think #1 is Tom Ford Noir Extreme. I think for the price, Noir Extreme is a steal. This easily could have been a private blend fragrance. If you guys think there are other fragrances in Tom Ford that are more creative, let me know. But I still don't see any other brand, any other fragrance house attempting something like this. This is a kulfi based fragrance. It combines an Indian dessert note of kulfi with florals, vanilla. This just creates something exotic, and it literally is a magical scent, in my opinion. Not many fragrances can take that description, but this is purely magical. It's sweet, but still close to the skin. It's not over projecting, it doesn't annoy you. It has this ethereal, enigmatic quality to it, and I think no other brand can really do this justice. Somehow they've created something that's perfectly performing, in my opinion, for this kind of scent profile. It's extremely sexy, creative, but mainstream, and at the same time it's unisex. I don't know how they did it, but it's really achieved everything all in one, and I still think it's one of the best scents, hands down, in the market. The next fragrance I don't own, but it's Guerlain's Lumidial Eau de Parfum. It's not necessarily my style, but I still think everybody should try it out. It is cherry and almond, which is already creative enough, but then they combine it with leather in an unexpected way that works. It's very dense, spicy, and powdery. It's probably one of the most interesting winter fragrances out there in existence. And to this day, I don't really see any other men's fragrance rock the cherry note as well as this does. It's fantastic performance as well. Even though it's not my style, I will tell everyone to experience the artistry of this fragrance. You're not going to find something like this in the mainstream anytime soon. Moving on to Montal. Generally, the brand is creative. I've tried a handful of their scents. I do own Chocolate Greedy, which although I do think is creative in its idea, I don't think it's been executed very well, meaning that the creativity doesn't get maximum points there in my opinion. You have to execute well also. This fragrance, I think, achieves both the idea and execution. This is Montal's Honey Oud. Oud fragrances were originally quite creative when they came into the market, into the Western markets, but I think nowadays it's too much of oud and rose. It's a very easy combination to go for, or oud and spices. So I think a brand going for something like this, oud and honey, which works very well here. It's a softly projecting fragrance, but it still lasts you about 10 hours. It's dense, it feels rich. It is a synthetic combination, but I think it still deserves points for how creative it is. You're not going to smell this anywhere else. I still don't know any other brand that's done this combination. And I think it just works really well, and it just shows that people can divert themselves from the usual oud and rose combo. That's a beautiful combo, don't get me wrong, but it's very safe now. Yes, we know it works. It's time for perfumers to try something different. Of course, Parfum de Marly had to make it here. Generally, their heavier oriental scent is the most creative in my opinion, and it doesn't get more heavy than this, Lancome Exclusive. This should be celebrated for combining the oriental Eastern ouds with the Western style of perfumery, the traditional, very French, heavy, musky perfumery from Parfum de Marly. It combines the mainstream appeal of Lancome with coffee and oud, creating this very well balanced, not necessarily as versatile as the original Lancome, but still very mainstream appealing, very sexy and unique, distinct fragrance. If you're going to spend this kind of money on a fragrance, maybe over £250, $300, you want something like this. This is definitely something that demands attention and makes it worth its price tag. I think it's definitely worth sampling this. And then finally, when it comes to oud, everybody hypes up oud for greatness, but I think this is the better alternative I mention on this channel all the time, Aqua de Parma's oud. The problem with oud fragrances in general is that they don't really have great versatility. But Aqua de Parma have done something with that note that other brands have yet to recreate. They've done essentially a barbershop take on the oud approach and made it more citrus heavy, a little bit aquatic as well in my opinion. And overall it creates this very expensive, elegant and refined approach to oud. It's not just overly Middle Eastern and heavy and decadent. I appreciate how balanced this is, and I appreciate the price tag as well. I think this is better than oud for greatness in my opinion, and it's half the price. Fantastic, fantastic perfumery, and one of Aqua de Parma's best. Even though YSL has gone away from this style, they still sell this fragrance for a reason. Nothing else really is coming out on the market like this nowadays. This is pure masculinity in a bottle. It's called the king in the community for a reason. This is King Kouros. For some reason in the 80s, I think probably because everyone used to smoke cigarettes, they wanted something that really is gonna hide that smell. This created a beautiful combination of clean barbershop notes with disgusting fecal animalic notes from civet. And you don't really get that nowadays. No, perfumery has become too much about making money. Nobody wants to take this kind of risk anymore, but I think it's a style that's underrated and really allows you to create a different sort of persona for yourself. This is basically for the man who is so masculine, he actually gains confidence from wearing something like this. He wears something bold and a little bit polarizing to remind himself how masculine and self-assured he is. I think every young man should try this, every mature man should try this to give respect and appreciate the older style of perfumery that may need to make a comeback. This would really shake up today's industry if something like this was released now. Prada usually isn't that creative nowadays either, because a lot of their scents are clones of other popular mainstream fragrances. They just add their more elegant, soapy Prada touch to these DNAs. However, this is now discontinued recently, so maybe you can still get it at an okay price depending on where you live. and I still don't think anyone has been able to make something as masterful as this. Prada's L'Homme Intense. Even though the original Prada L'Homme was a copycat of Dior Homme Eau, they really went crazy with the creativity here, but still made this very mass appealing and sexy. The note of iris is very unique and creative in general anyways for men, but they made it somehow really sweet, really addictive, fantastic performing, at least 10 hours. This is just a cold weather signature that just you won't smell this on anyone else. People will wear the other safe fragrances, but then you will smell better than them and smell a lot more interesting, creative, and you will just be experiencing the best perfumery in the world, in my opinion. I know this is a designer fragrance, but this can easily overtake many niche brands. The creativity, the quality in this, and the performance is, it was an absolute steal for the price, and I would still pay a little bit more than retail to get bottles now that are discontinued. Or at least try it, guys. Try the experience. Staying on the theme of iris, Dior, again, has become very mainstream. They're sticking to the laurels of Sauvage and what works in the market. They don't want to try anything like this anytime soon, in my opinion. But this is not just your everyday fragrance. Dior Homme Intense is your everyday consumer fragrance. This is art. This is an experience. Dior Homme Parfum. I call this the Bruce Wayne Batman fragrance in a bottle. This combines iris with leather, like in Prada L'Homme Intense, but it's not sweet at all. It is smoky, dark, very enigmatic, and this just is serious. This is a serious man's fragrance. Like I said, Bruce Wayne, like Chris Pattinson. If you wanna, hit me up for a sample, I can send you 2 mils of this fragrance, bro. And if we're gonna mention Batman, we're gonna have to mention Superman in this video as well. If he's the dark, brooding, serious character, this is the fragrance for the Man of Steel. This is Chanel's Platinum Egoiste. Bear in mind, this was released in the 90s, and back then nobody thought of taking a fougere DNA and mixing it with probably a lot of Hedione, a little airy fresh notes to make this very metallic approach to the barbershop DNA. Nobody else in any other brand has been able to recreate something like this ever since. This is the best metallic fragrance out there, in my opinion. Again, more for the mature man. This is for Clark Kent working in the Daily Bugle. Someone probably over the age of 35 is who I'd recommend this for. It lasts all day, even though it's so light and fresh, but it lasts 10 hours. And it's one of the most creative, but yes, yet dominating, powerful and interesting office fragrance that's ever existed. It's just anyone who wants to smell fresh, clean, metallic in general, this could be a fantastic signature still to this day. Made in the 90s, but still a timeless classic, and definitely Chanel's most creative scent. Obviously, this list is not exhaustive, but if you guys like this video enough, we're happy to do a part 2, including more brands. Do you agree or disagree with any of the choices I made here today? And also, guys, if you want to promote the channel more and get us more exposure on the YouTube algorithm, check out more of our videos. Carry on watching. Watch time is king in YouTube, essentially. We have this video where we compared 10 functional fragrances versus 10 artistic alternatives. So if that interests you, check it out. But if you're busy and you have to do something else, enjoy the rest of your day, guys. See you later.